Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to name ionic compounds step by step, and so I'm going to include compounds with metals, nonmetals, and even transition metals with Roman numerals. Okay, so firstly, what are ionic compounds? So ionic compounds are made up of a metal and a nonmetal. So these metals form a positive ion or a cation, and the nonmetal forms a negative ion or an anion. And these oppositely charged ions attract and form a compound, and that compound is an ionic compound. So before we can begin naming ionic compounds, we need to make sure we know the three rules associated with naming them. So the first rule is that we name the first metal cation first, and we keep it just the regular name of the atom. And now the second rule is we name the nonmetal anion second, but we change the ending to "ide." And then the third rule is if the transition metal, if it's a transition metal, we show the charge in a Roman numeral. So transition metal being metals with potentially more than one possible charge. Now with that, and you'll see those on your periodic table. Now with that in mind, let's go through some examples. So for the first example, let's do NaCl. And I'll keep the rules here for you guys to see. So here we can see that we have a sodium and we have a chlorine. So the name is going to be sodium chloride. And as you can see, we kept the first element, the name of it, the same. We named the nonmetal anion second, but we changed the ending to "ide," and there's no transition metal, so we don't have to worry about Roman numerals. Let's try another example. Let's do NaNO3. Now for here, we have sodium and we have a nitrate. So this is going to be sodium nitrate. Now the reason this is a little different is because this is a polyatomic ion. So we must name it as a polyatomic ion. But just know that for polyatomic ions, we don't change the ending to "ide, we keep it the same. So this here is going to be sodium nitrate. Now let's do one more example. Let's do FeCl2. Now, iron has a +2 charge here, because iron could have numerous potential charges, but here it has a +2 charge. And then there's a chlorine with a -1 charge, but there's two of them. So we're going to name this as iron 2 chloride. So here, as we can see, since there's a transition metal, we show the charge in Roman numerals, which we did. So now I'm going to write down a few examples, and I'm going to have you guys pause the video and try them on your own. So MgBr2, CuO, and let's do K2SO4. Now feel free to pause the video and try these on your own, but when you come back, you'll see that for MgBr2, the name is going to be magnesium bromide. Pretty straightforward naming here. For CuO, it's going to be copper, but the copper is a transition metal, and here it's going to have a +2 charge. So it's going to be copper 2 oxide. And then for K2SO4, this is a polyatomic ion, and as we said earlier, we keep this is a polyatomic atom, but we keep the polyatomic ion the same name, so we don't end in "ide." So this here is going to be potassium sulfate. Oh, spelled that wrong. And let's try one more example, actually. Let's do AlCl3. So pause the video and try it on your own. But when you come back, you'll see that this here is also, just like the first example, relatively straightforward. It's going to be aluminum chloride. So for a quick recap, when we name ionic compounds, we need to name the metal first, and then we change the nonmetals ending to "ide," that's if they're not polyatomic. And then we use Roman numerals for transition metals, and we use polyatomic ion names as they appear. So if it's a polyatomic ion, we do not change the ending to "ide." I hope this video helped. Thank you.